So, as you know, I've been online telling my story, and I decided to move this way right after suggestively trying to break up with someone for months on end that wouldn't leave me be, would love bomb me, and trying to continue to harass me and keep me within a very well orchestrated and very well designed poisoning of me. These campaigns were set up against me through my own brothers from a very young age, so it's not like it's real easy to come out here and talk about. And the reasons are is because I had love for them in ways that they just never could love me doing what they did. They wanted to, at times, I believe, get away from what they were doing, but they couldn't reason with it that I wouldn't have been able to see all of the times that I had been being poisoned. And so their only solution was to get rid of me. So it hurts to come out and speak out. But I was just wondering how long how long a calculated and covert arsenic poisoning would last, and it's a tricky question because what's not known medically to my specific case is not being found and not being even something I can go to the medical providers about, seemingly. So, in a timely fashion, anyway, while being derailed and having sabotage, financial sabotage, and relationship sabotage, work sabotage, sabotage of my home life, sabotage of my family life, sabotage of my body, sabotage of my mind, because you just can't remember things even right after they happened. I wouldn't have been able to remember things. And now having the flood of memories that are still coming back to me, they're going to probably come back to me until I'm dead. So it really hurts because the acute arsenic poisoning, if it's in a large dose and all at once, it can cause very severe symptoms, which it has caused in my history. It mentions here vomiting, diarrhea, heart rhythm problems, which I've had all three, and then low blood pressure, where it's like it feels like you need sugar or something. You feel like you're low on sugar. And that's not the case. That was never the case. It was always the calculation because it would always be around the people by proxy that were staged by proxy to continue the poisoning of me. And I remember working and throwing up around corners and like not really knowing what's happening to me, but it being really I don't know how to describe that. It would be really weird because it wouldn't just be like food, but like in the lower areas of my diaphragm, like my belly. And so it was like, wow, I just puked up something completely rancid. That mixture with an arsenic poisoning on top of like, you just don't know what's happening to you because you experience these lapses of memory where you really can't think straight when you're arsenic poisoned. You can't. What it did to me anyway from a very young age traveled into my adulthood where I wouldn't have been able to seek the reason that things were happening to me, because you can't see to reason with something that you just don't have the ability to reason, to think, to suggestively put any vocabulary of words into what's happening to you. You don't have that skill, especially when you're, you know, a baby. But I know that's what it was, because my dad wanted to get away with awful things, doing awful things to his family. And so, within hours, if it's enough of an acute poisoning, it can be fatal in days. You can literally end up dead in just a few days. So when it's like suggested later, like when I was in Stacy, Minnesota, for an example, and I was working tooth and nail to get out from underneath what covert warfare was upon me and I was experiencing, that I couldn't actually get, the lady I was with to realize that I was speaking the truth. I was telling her that something was happening again to me and I've been trying to get away from it. I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm being gang stalked. I'm being targeted. And so I can see why people don't want to agree with a person that's coming out saying something like that, especially when they can't see where it's coming from or they can't reason with where it's coming from. But thinking back now, it was legitimately that's how they stole the cryptocurrency that I did have, is to have Jesse Lee come and poison me, because he was a proxy made friend. He was never my actual friend. An actual friend doesn't treat you this way in the first place, but he was never my actual friend. So after poisoning me, it was like, I'd say 3, 4 days. I was like, or longer actually. I was really worried about my eyesight. I was having a struggle getting up in the morning. I had pain, shooting pains in my legs. I I literally like got up one time and fell to the ground. There's other times where I felt like I was gonna fall to the ground, holding myself up, saying to myself, I need to get through this. Like I need to figure this out. So I would study, the eyesight, just the eyesight problem alone, and what I could use to detoxify my eyes. So I went out and I got, tomato, onion, carrots, a whole bunch of things to juice, and I juiced every morning. I juiced every morning because I think there was lemon in there, lime. I don't remember what all it was, but it actually helped me get my eyesight back. It helped me detoxify and get my eyesight back. But I think that it also is helping me detoxify from other things in my body. But I was very like experiencing the same symptoms that I had always been experiencing, very confusion, foggy brained, foggy minded. Parts of travel. I would travel right past the exit I needed to get to to leave the interstate, and or leave the highway, and it would just be frustrating because it's just like, why can't I think normally? I'm like driving down roads I know, and I've been driving for a long time. It's the same thing that happened to me moving here, like being poisoned, like, I don't know, traveling 17 minutes past where I needed to turn, driving down the same roads that I drive down normally right after being poisoned by Aurelia. So I know it didn't take very long. My brother was pressuring me to supposedly help me make more money. It was never about helping me make more money. It was about him stealing my money, moving my money from the cryptocurrency of hive backed dollars into Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin into this Omnicomp and and other areas, or whatever was suitable to him, you see, because he was recording down the IP address on the blockchain. The blockchain never forgets, and I would, because I was just poisoned days before. So it was a very peculiar moment for me because I wanted to record what was happening on that computer that day so that I could potentially know that the IP addresses that he was recording down, somehow I could know those things. And well, if I moved money out of TCF and then TCF transfers the bank name, now it's hard for you to even get those transactions in history to suggest to identitytheft.gov, for an example, what has been happening to me. But it has. It's been a complete reversal of anything I can do and spend my energy into to make money. It's been a complete reversal of me to even establish a relationship outside of the proxy warfare that they had designed. The person prior to where I was living was just a nightmare. She suggested that she was going to throw herself down the stairs and blame me. She was very narcissistic with me. She would go out with whomever and suggest that I don't need to know what she's doing or whatever. And it's like, dude, if we're in a freaking relationship, you're going to let me know what you're doing. And if you're not, then I don't want to be here in the general. But at the same rate, like, you didn't need to like love bomb me like crazy to draw me into this, and I'm gonna figure this out. And I did later. After after a long while of being poisoned, you really remember the times and the settings that you were poisoned and almost dying, driving a freaking RAV4 that she was saying she doesn't care what happens to it because she's got full coverage on it. Oh, well, good for you, bitch. Excuse my French, but you're a fucking murderer. I'm gonna call you a bitch for being a fucking murderer. And it's not only that, it's just the fact that you're gonna be inside of this proxy warfare to indemnify the crimes of multiple people. Not only yourself, but multiple people, including my very own friend, who is someone supposed to be my friend, Jesse motherfucking Lee. I'm sorry, but when I'm like in that fatal and fatality and feeling that fatal, and then on the rebuttal of that, like, the first couple months it was just to love bomb me like crazy, and even utilize money to love bomb, because I'm in a relationship, to be able to love bomb my nieces and nephews on Christmas, suggesting that the only reason you're getting gifts is because of her in my life. And it's just, it's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels, because a lot of those gifts I paid for, I did have a lot of help, being that I've been pushed into this proxy warfare. But without that proxy warfare, my nieces and nephews would have been getting gifts every single year in and year out. Birthdays could be shared with the whole family. Not, oh, like, I'm not a part of my brothers' family because they're deciding to move this way to proxy warfare me, perform identity theft, and then working this proxy warfare with the proxies inside of my life, set up like a fucking heist movie over my life to perform identity theft and then trying to murder me. No, and no, and no, and no. You guys are all fucking murderers, G. It doesn't matter if the fucking system wants to side with me or side with y'all. I know the fucking truth. Y'all are fucking murderers. And so next is the chronic arsenic exposure within smaller amounts over time. And all of these things and many more I've experienced as well. But it leads to extreme fatigue, weakness. You'll sleep in more. You'll be confused. Your skin and nails change, which I had both of. You'll experience nerve damage, which I've experienced because the nerve damage even caused for carpal tunnel. I studied that as well, the holistics within it to detox your wrists. I would do juicing and I would do exercising and I would get whatever was in my body I didn't know at the time out of my body by extreme hard work, extreme hard labor, and working 12-hour days, coming back home and rollerblading, staying away from people that wanted to just drink and do drugs and, whatever. And then the effects were building up for weeks and even months on end because they did linger. The exposure never stopped. It's not like they're like, oh, we're just going to poison them up a couple times and leave them be. No, they were poisoning me up repeatedly. And so all of a sudden your body needs to be able to recover, and it can take several months to even years longer depending on the dose and depending on how long you've been being poisoned up for. So you seek for medical treatment, and the medical treatment that's out here in the medical field, they don't care. The only thing they care about is what they were able to treat symptomatically. So instead of actually looking for anything that's going on with my heart, it would be suggesting putting me into a stress test or putting me through other regimens instead of looking at whether or not I had anything physically going on with my body. It would be suggesting that I have a mental health condition. They couldn't name it, they couldn't run a test to prove anything, depression, anxiety, or anything else. But that's what they want you on. And so when I was younger and I did start taking those medications, I felt like same thing as I felt with the diabetes medication. Like it just does not mix well with whatever was in my body. So I wanted to get off of the depression medication because I didn't find myself as a depressed person. I found myself as just, I'm sad, I'm experiencing some sadness. And I think the first thing that you want to do if you're experiencing that sadness is just make sure that you're not around some jerk offs, dickheads, or murderers, because it's not going to feel well if you're being proxy warfared inside of relationships that are keeping you blind, keeping you out of your own natural state of mind, so that you're in reactive states. You're in reactive abuse sometimes, lashing out, but you're looking for love, and that love just isn't there. It just doesn't care. It never did. So you might have a calculated poisoning in your system that's important to get medical testing, blood, urine, or hair, or through clinical poison control recommended labs and stuff like that. But you go and try to perform these things, and these people are just like in cahoots with indemnifying the crimes of my father, or my first well, from memory, my first lover relationship that was also in an affair with Jesse Lee, by design, I think. that was to continue the poisoning of me. And it did. It was really horrible. And at one moment, I did recognize that this is happening to me. And then immediately after that, you lose sight of it because you're poisoned. And that's just how it is. Like, once you start realizing something happening to you, all of a sudden you don't realize anything at all. And the part that I think made it easiest for them to continue this poisoning over me without me realizing it is because my normal was being poisoned since I was a baby, since I was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, on onward. And so that's why I feel like it's important for me to tell my story, because it's, if they're getting away with not only that, performing identity theft, taking your energy, stopping you from working, including calling my own boss. My last boss, he doesn't admit to it, but I know that there is no one else in that building that that phone call that he had received was for. And so somebody had called my boss, whatever they would say, to indemnify their own crimes and get me out of a job, because it was like, well, what do you recommend I do? You know, if we don't want that around here, or want that kind of character around here. So it was something that was said to him that would plant a seed inside of my own boss's brain that he can't even suggestively do anything about now, because that would make it, legitimately makes him culpable to releasing me in the manners that he did, the same way as other places did and have. And they don't care. They don't fucking care. Use you up. You're a good worker when you're not being poisoned, but none of what your goodness matters to these people so long as they don't care about what is being said and putting a plant inside of their head to get rid of you. You see? And so it wouldn't matter if I was fighting for 20 years homelessness. It wouldn't matter if I was fighting through schooling. It wouldn't matter if I was suggesting even to my own brother, like, let's do something after schooling together. The only reason I want to do this schooling is if we're going to do something to actually work together. And then he decides to go out of school. And I said, well, are we still going to do something for work? I mean, we have enough knowledge. We could start a business doing deck building in the summer. We could do there's just a number of things you could do with that degree. So with being carpenter certified, or not even being carpenter certified, just being able to get out there and be a carpenter. But the fact of the matter is that there was never any installment of a character coming from either one of my brothers that were to say, yay, that's exactly what I want to do. We should do this. That's a great idea. We're gonna make a killing. You know, it wasn't about that. It was about literally taking over my life in totality, within every job setting, every workplace, every proxy friend, every proxy girlfriend, every single place. So these people fucking trafficked me so that they could continue poisoning me and continue bringing me down to the fucking ground, stealing all of my time and energy and resources and anything else that they could. And then fucking Jesse and Aurelia fucking gaslighting me in my own home when I'm going to fucking work. Coming back to my own home because they needed to hide here from her kids, and they needed to hide here from his mother that lives two block. You know, now I live 2 blocks away from a guy that was supposed to be my friend that tried murdering me, and tried murdering me many fucking times. Real fun. Real fun. So that's why I basically feel like my whole life has been ruined. I mean, they're like, what can I do to get out of this? What? I mean, no one cares obviously about my content. I get like 6 views, 13 views, 22 views, maybe 128 views on certain things, or it's just to actual things that I need people to hear and see. Do you think that people out here fucking care? No, they don't fucking care. They're not being murdered. They're not being proxy warfare. They think what I'm saying is a schizophrenia or a mental health themselves. Who the fuck knows? But it's not. It's absolutely not. And then at the same time, I have to deal with all of the excess that comes my way now because of the warfare that they've been playing in my life. So, for an example, it takes more money to heat up a bath, heating pan after pan on a stove to heat a bath. It takes more money than just doing the rightful thing over me and allowing me to the less time too that it takes so that I could utilize that time for work. But they're trying to stop me from work. They're trying to, if I'm on a gig app, they're trying to take away my gig app. They're trying to take away the community of the gig app. They're trying to literally hack me so that I don't have access to a phone at all, to anything, to anybody real out here. So that's why I'm like trying to create things on the double, because what other option do I have? Like, legitimately, what fucking option does a guy have dealing with murder that is seemingly being protected from the system to protect the pedophile fucking father, the rapist fucking father, and the poisoners by design that have been poisoning me my whole entire life? Oh, okay. Just should I have a pair of socks to go out in the middle of the fucking blizzard? According to my brothers, I shouldn't. But as far as I'm concerned, they're fucking assholes to do what they've done to me, and they know the fuck well what they've done to me. And then they're like their ultra ego channels of like taking over my name, my face, my image. They don't come out on their own. Like, Jesse should be making videos. Kenny should be making videos, not supporting his stupid fucking work, saying that, oh, I'd like to see you get a better quote on your mortgage than my company, blah blah blah. But he's just a fucking asshole, dude. You're gonna literally do this to your own little brother, put him into a fucking place specifically so you could set up my house and the proxy warfare so that you could steal the deed to my house, steal the money out of my fucking equity, perform fraud because you're an insurance fucking fraudulent brother. You're not a broker. You fucking he fucking got my ID coming from my other brother to him to perform a life insurance policy. Just like a week and a half later, I almost actually died. And I know the fuck well what I experienced, G. And I go into the medical professionals and they're like, oh, he's just got something wrong up here. No, it was my heart literally slowed to like 7 beats per fucking minute and shit, dude. I couldn't fucking call 911 if I wanted to. I was in my fucking bed, fucking flopped in my fucking bed, barely made it into my bed. And it was legitimately like the voice of God saying to me, if you even cry out, if you even wail out right now because of what you're finding out, you're dead. Just let me hold you. So, oh, I'm not supposed to listen to that voice and just call 911 and have the ambulance come and take me when I'm like literally gonna fucking die. I thought to myself, if I were to do that, I would die. These people don't fucking care. Even when I'm having the whites of my peripherals going out and feeling like I was attacked with some other fucking poisoning or the aftermath of the poisoning, and I felt like I was legitimately just gonna be shut off like a light switch. And that's the fucking same verbiage that fucking Jesse would take to my own friendship with him. That it doesn't mean anything. He's got to turn off. his friendship to me just like a light switch. Like, I'm sorry, but what a bitch. I'm out of here. Peace.